Hello everyone, this is Manx MV and I'm back with another Cognos report studio video. And in my previous video I created this report and this is the link for the previous version. And in this video we give a flexibility to end user that they are able to sort their list based on their selection. So let's say I want to sort my list based on ID, so I'm going to select ID. If I want to change its order from descending to ascending, I'm going to select this second prompt. But as per the graphical user interface, it is not a very good representation for dynamic sorting, for dynamic list sorting. Now, I want to convert my this report into this format. This is the second version of my report and facilitate to end user that they are able to change the sorting of their columns based on these images. Okay, so these are images for up, ascending and descending. And let's say if I want to sort my list based on the first name in descending order, so I'm going to click on this down arrow icon, and now my list is sorted based on the first name in descending order. We already achieved this scenario in this report also, but in this we need to select our sorting column and then we need to decide the order. But in this report we just need to select the appropriate image. Now how to create this report? For this we are going to modify our this existing report, and if you want to know how I created this report, check this video. Now how to create this report? For this I'm going to open Report Studio and my report, this is my previous version report, and we need to convert this report into this format. Okay, so let me go back on my sort underscore demo, and first thing, we are not using this items. I'm not, our new report not contain any text item and prompt value prompt. So first thing I am going to remove this, so delete. Now the next thing, we need to add this to text prompt. The main purpose of this text prompt is the same, which is used to store the ID of the column according to which we need to perform sort, and the second text prompt is to decide the order of your sorting. So let me go back in my sort underscore demo report, and now I'm going to add to text prompt. So this is my text box prompt. I'm going to add this, and I'm going to, let's say, I think maybe existing parameter is available. Yes, it is available. So I'm going to use p underscore sort, and I'm going to click on finish, and I'm going to add another text box prompt, and this time I'm going to name it p underscore order. Click on finish. Now cosmetic changes, I want to select this prompt and I'm going to hide hide adornments. Click to yes, change it to yes. The next thing, in the default selection I am going to add default selection to 1, and the next thing, I want to hide this prompt because I don't want to display my prompt on my report. So this is my final output, and in this final output we are able to see there is no prompt are visible. This prompt is just for storing your report state, so that's why we need to hide this. But I'm not going to hide this right now because I need to show how to change its value using JavaScript. So that's why right now I'm not going to hide this. Let me provide a proper name for this prompt. So I'm going to name a text box prompt, and let's say it is a column. The same thing we need to do for our second text box prompt. First thing, I'm going to hide this. Yes, the default selection, again the value is 1. Click on OK and OK, and finally I want to provide a appropriate name for this. So this is text box prompt, and I'm going to say it's name is order. Great. So that's why right now I'm not going to hide this. Let me provide a proper name for this prompt. So I'm going to name a text box prompt, and it, let's say it is a column. The same thing we need to do for our second text box prompt. First thing, I'm going to hide this. Yes, the default selection, again the value is 1. Click on OK and OK, and finally I want to provide a appropriate name for this. So this is text box prompt, and I'm going to say its name is order. Great. So our two prompts are created. The next thing, we need to add HTML. What is the purpose of this HTML item? This HTML item is used for displaying these images. So let me go back on the report. So our these two images is populated based on the HTML content. So let me show you the content of this HTML item. Double click on this, and inside this we are using a table. So this is my table, and this table contains two rows. In our first row we are showing sort ascending.gif image, and in the second row, this is my first row is end. From here my second row is started. In our second row we are again showing a image of descending.gif, and here our table is end. So let me copy this code, and I'm going to paste this HTML code inside my this report. So let me first add a HTML item. So I'm going to add this HTML item. No, we need to first unlock our report. So I'm going to unlock this, and then we need to add our HTML item just here. Okay, great. And I'm going to double click on this, and finally I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to copy code, Control C, and I'm going to paste it here. And let's run this report right now. So this is your report is generated successfully, but if you are able to notice, our ID and images are not in same line. To resolve this issue, we need to add a table inside our header which control the display of ID and this HTML images. For this we need to add a table. So I'm going to add a table just here. So ID, and I want number of columns 2 and number of rows 1, because I want to display my ID and images in a single row. I'm going to add this table, and in my first row I'm going to add ID. In my first row second column I'm going to add HTML item. Let's run this report again. Now this is the behavior which I am looking for. Okay, so the next thing, we are going to repeat the same step for all the columns. Now we need to replicate this similar changes to all the available columns. So I am going to add this table again inside first name header. I'm going to move my first name here. Then I'm going to add a HTML item. This is my HTML item. And the next thing, I want to add my table inside last name header. I'm going to copy my last name in the first row first column. Then again I'm going to drag and drop HTML item in the first row second column. The same thing for age. This is my table. The same thing for salary. Okay, great. And I'm going to drag and drop age here, and I'm going to drag and drop my salary just here. Okay, finally we need to add copy, or we need to add HTML items here. here. Okay, now the next thing, we need to add the contents for this, and I'm going to copy this contents from here. Now what is the difference between these two HTML items? I'm going to explain this later, but for the timing let me copy this, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste this inside here. Okay, third HTML item code, copy this content. This division element is not mandatory. If you want, you can add this division element, but for my second report I am skipping this division element, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. My HTML item, this is my HTML item. I'm going to copy this, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and my last HTML item. I know this is a very repetitive task. If you have 15 columns, then you need to perform all this step 15 times. Right now I don't have any shortcut for this, and okay. Great, our 5 HTML item is created successfully, and now it's time to understand what is available inside this HTML item. So I'm going to double click on here, and this is the code of my HTML item. Now let me copy this code in Notepad so we can modify this code a little bit, and I'm going to change the font, and let's see, I think 28 is going to be fine. Yeah, it is more than enough. Okay, so this is my first table. So this is the syntax to declare a table in HTML, and this is the syntax to start a new row inside a table. Now inside a new row, if you want to create a column, then you can use td/td. This is my column 1. For this example, we required only one column to store us image. So that's why this is our first column. Let me delete this. So this is my first column and it is ending just here. Okay, so this is my first column start, and this is my first column end, and this is /tr. This is my first row end here. In the same table, we are again creating a new row. Inside this new row, we are again adding a new column, and inside this new column, we need to place our image. So this is the code for image. So this is our column close, column row end, and finally our table end. So this code is creating a table with one row, one column, and in each column we are displaying a image. Now text to display a image, my image, this img for displaying image, I am assigning a unique id for each image. This is very important. Why unique id? Because based on user click we need to highlight that image. That's why we need to make it unique. So this id is unique for all the images. And the next thing, we need to specify the URL of our image. Our image is available on this URL. So let me copy this, and I'm going to open this inside Firefox. So this is my image. This is the URL for image. We copied this whole URL inside source element. So this is my source element. And inside this source element, we need to place our image URL. And for this scenario, this is the URL for our image. Let me try to break this so you can see. Yeah, this is the URL. And the next thing, we are defining a JavaScript function. On click event, on click on this image, we need to call this sort ascending. On click event, we need to call this JavaScript function sort ascending 1. This is actually performing the sorting, and every logic is available inside this. Okay, I'm going to explain this function later, but for the timing, just remember we need to add a new attribute or new element or new attribute on click, or this event on click event. We need to call this JavaScript function. Okay, and finally the class, we need to define a class. If this is not available, then let me show what is the difference. Okay, so let me go and remove this class. Control X, click on OK. Oh, so this is my original report. I don't want to change this. I want to change my this report. Okay, so uh, this is my code, and I want to remove this code, this part of code. I want to remove this class. Click on OK, and I am going to run my report again. And when you are going to point on your image, your cursor is not changed, but in case of the second image, okay, so something is wrong, because you are not able to see any changes because this class is not available in our report. We need to define this class. So for all images right now you are able to see a mouse cursor, but we need to change it, and this change is this class. Okay, and right now this class, we didn't define this class, that's why we are not able to see the change. So let me first go in my report, and I'm going to add a new HTML item. I'm going to place this HTML item in the last of my report, and then inside this I'm going to define a this style tag is for our CSS element or CSS class, and inside this I'm going to copy the CSS class. So my style, this is my class, and I'm going to paste it here. Now this is hand pointer. Let me save these changes and show you the difference. I want to run this report again, and now if you are going to point, okay, so we modify the first image, move the class element from the first image, that's why we are not able to see the changes on the first image, but you are able to see the change on your second image. See, I am able to see a hand pointer. Okay, great. So let me go on HTML item, and I'm going to copy this class. Okay, now if you are a notice, if you see this code, we have another class current. Why? What is the purpose of this class? Okay, so let me show you the original report. So this is my original report, and for the selected stuff we are highlighting those stuff in green. Okay, for this we added this second class current, in which we are defining the highlighted color. For the highlighted element, the background color is green, the cursor pointer, okay, so this and this is same, just for displaying the hand pointer. And the last is we are defining a border for our image. Okay, so this class is applicable only for the current selection or for the current sorted column. Okay, so I think you are able to understand what the purpose of this class. So let me go and click on OK to close this. And now the next thing, we need to add our JavaScript function. So let me go in our HTML item, and this HTML item we are calling this two function, sort ascending 1 and sort descending 1. What is the purpose of this? This function is sorting our list in ascending order, and this is the function is sort this is the function sorting our list in descending order. So let's copy this function and define this function. So for this I'm going to use my last HTML item, this HTML item, and inside this I'm going to add a script. Okay, script slash script, and inside this script we are going to define our function, JavaScript function. So this is my function in ascending, and inside this we are passing a value 1. What is the purpose of this value? I'm going to show you later, but for the timing just create this function, and to show you that this function is working fine or not, I'm going to use a alert statement. Alert is going to display a pop-up. Inside this alert we are going to display the ID value, the value of the ID passed by the image. So this is my alert ID. I'm going to copy the same thing for here, and this is the second function, it is for descending. Okay, so our JavaScript function is ready. Click on OK, save your report and run your report. Okay, now it's time to click here, and I am able to see 1, 2, last name 3, 4. Great. Now what is the purpose of these values? Let me go in my this report, and inside this, if you are able to notice, on click we are calling this function with some value. What is the purpose of this value? uh, the purpose of this value is we need to identify which image is clicked. Okay, and in our previous version of report, I avoided the previous version, so I think you're not I'm not able to show you the previous version of report. Let me see whether it is available or not. Sort, I think. Yes. Nope. Okay, in our previous version we have two value prompt. I think it is available. Okay, in our previous version of report we have this value prompt, and for each column we assign a use value. Okay, so this is the display value ID, and for this use value is 1. This is the first name, and for this the use value is 2. This is my last name, and for this my use value is 3. And this is age column, the use value for this is 4, and this is the salary column, and the use value for this is 5. So we are passing the use value in this function. Okay, so let me open this, and this is HTML item for ID. Let me reduce its size. So this is my HTML function, or this is my HTML image for ID. For this we need to forward its use value. Okay, so for ID we have use value 1, for first name we have use value 2, for last name we have use value 3, age 4, salary 5. So that's why we are passing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in these functions. So let me open this my second HTML item. Inside this we are passing use value 2, and for last name we are passing use value 3, and so on. So this is the purpose of use value, and we are going to assign this value to our this prompts. Okay, how we are going to assign this? We are going to use JavaScript to assign the values of this text box prompt. Okay, so let me open my JavaScript function, and previously we are just displaying the IDs or the use values. Now it's time to remove this code. and we are going to assign values to our text box prompt. For this is the code. Okay, so let me go here and I'm going to copy this. Now what is the purpose of this line? The first thing is getting the content of the report, and then we are finding the edit text with prompt name. So this is the prompt name, and if you are able to notice, I think we renamed our prompts. It is text box prompt. I think we need to copy. Let me click on OK to save these changes, and I'm going to select my first text box prompt, and I'm going to copy this name. So that's why adding a name in this scenario is mandatory, because we are going to use this name to find our text box prompt. So I'm going to again open my HTML item, and I'm going to paste my first text box prompt name, and again I'm going to select my second text box prompt, and I'm going to copy this name, and I'm going to paste this name here. Click on OK to save your changes. Now in this code we are getting the ID from these HTML items, okay, but for order we are hard coding, one for ascending order and two for descending order. Let me copy the same code for descending, so I'm going to paste my code just here. Okay, so I need to change this and click on OK, save your report and run it again. And now if you are going to click on this, your this values are going to be changed. For first ID and ascending, its value is 1 and 1. For first name, its value is 2 and 1. Last name 3 and 1. Age 4 and 1 and 1. For descending ID, it's 1 2 2 2 3 2 4 2, finally 5 2. Okay, now our text box prompt contains the latest value. The next thing, we need to refresh our report. Now how to refresh this report using JavaScript? For this, open your this last HTML item, and now I'm going to store my report content in some variables. So I'm going to type variable, and this is the actual code. I'm going to copy this, and my everything, my report is available inside this variable. Okay, and line which is very important is this. For our report we are sending a request. This is my report, Cognos report get report. This line is storing our report inside this variable, and then we are saying that for this report send request Cognos report action finished. It is for uh, the best way to explain this, let's say when you clicked on finish prompt button, your report is refreshed. Same thing we are doing using JavaScript code, and this is the line for the same. Okay, so let me click on OK button and save this and run our report. And when I'm going to click on this up arrow, my report is refreshed. And now I'm going to select first name, my text box prompt values are changed and my report are refreshed. The same thing for last name, my text box value prompt values are changed and my reports are refreshed. The same thing we need to do for the second function. So I'm going to open this and I'm going to copy this in a new function. So let's say function refresh or rerun report. I'm going to paste this line here, and I'm going to call this function from ascending function and descending function. Okay, click on OK and save your report. And now I'm going to execute this again, and now my both ascending and descending image are working. But now we need to update our second list. So let me go back in my report studio, and this list is the previous version of my list, and I don't want this. I want to make all the similar changes in this report. The best way to do this, I'm going to delete this existing report, and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this. And the next required change is we need to change these IDs. So I'm going to remove this 1,1. As I mentioned previously, all these images must have a unique ID. So I'm going to remove this and I'm going to say it's 2,1. 2,1. 2,1 means sorry, 1,2. The 1 for my column and 2 for my order. So I define the ID in this way. I for my image, and then I'm assigned my column ID and my sorting order. Okay, so I'm defining my ID in this way. Why I'm defining my ID in this way, I'm going to explain it later. Okay, so let me comment this. This is HTML text, so I want to comment this using this way. Okay, great. The next thing, we need to change the ID for all the images. So I'm going to click on OK, and I'm going to make it 2,2. For this, we are going to say it's 3,2. This is 4,2. And finally, I'm going to say it's 5,2. Click on OK, save your report, rerun your report, and we need to change the render variable. Close this, select your list. I'm going to change this, and I want to display the second one when the list renderer equals to 2. Click on OK, and I want to change the sorting of this. So I'm going to make it in descending order. I'm going to save these changes, and I also want to change my sv underscore list renderer. No, I'm going to click on variable first. I'm going to double click on this. Okay, our parameter name is matching, so there is no need to change this. I'm going back on my report page, and let's see the parameter name is matching. Yes, it is matching. Okay, so our report is ready. Save these changes and execute your report, and let's see. This is for ascending ID and this is for descending ID. This is for ascending first name, this is for descending first name, this is for ascending last name, this is for descending last name, and so on. The last thing is remaining is, if you are able to notice inside my demo report, we are highlighting the current sorting. Okay, for this report, my report is sorted based on each column in ascending order. Now how to highlight this? For this we are going to use our second class. Inside this, if you are able to notice, we created two class. This is for my current selection. Okay, to replace this based on the values available inside our prompt. Okay, for this I'm going to again create a new function. I'm going to say function, and I'm going to name it, let's say, current selection, close, close, close. And I need to call this function on the load of this page. So I'm going to, the best way to do this, or the simplest way to do this, copy this function and just paste this. So once your script is loaded, this is going to call this JavaScript function. Okay, fine. Now in this JavaScript function, we need to find the value of these two prompts. This is my column prompt and this is my order prompt. Now how to find the values? Assigning our value using this code. So why not use this to get the values of your prompt? So I'm going to quickly add a alert message for my both the prompts value, and I'm going to quickly copy the second line, and I'm going to add another alert box. Okay, and run. By default, the first value for column is 1, and by default the order is ascending. I'm going to change this based on the age and descending order. So my column is 4, first is ID, second is first name, third is last name, and fourth is age. And the order is descending. So that's why its value is 2. Okay, now we have the value of these two prompts. Okay, now based on this we need to highlight our image. And if we are able to notice inside this HTML item, we have ID I42 for this image. So we need to highlight this image. And I think we define, I want to open that now. Okay, so we are defining our ID in this format, I, and then column ID and sorting order. So the column ID for age is 4 and the sorting order is descending, it means 2. So our I42 is generated based on these two values, and this I42 is pointing to this image I42. So we are going to generate I42 inside our newly created function. So this is my newly created function for current selection, and I'm going to create a new variable ID, or let's say, don't confuse between this ID and this ID. So I'm going to say this is a image ID, and the image ID, it is going to be start with I, and then we need to add our column value inside this. In JavaScript you can concatenate to string using plus sign. Then I'm going to add a blank string, and then I'm going to add this to another value. Why I'm not directly using plus sign? Let's assume this value is going to return an integer. Then integer plus integer, it is going to be perform addition. So I don't want to perform addition. That's why I add a extra string, and this string contains nothing in between those two values. Okay, fine. And let me show you the generated image ID. Click on OK to save and run it again. Okay, so this I1 and I11 is pointing to this image. Let me show you inside the code. I11. It is pointing to the first image. Okay, and let's check this for first name. It is I22. It is pointing to our this image. Okay, now the next thing, we need to change the class of this image. Right now it is hand pointer. For the current selected item, we need to change this class to .curr. .curr. And inside JavaScript, you can change a class for HTML element using this way. First, we need to find this element. So our entire HTML page is a document. Inside this document, we need to find get element by ID. That's why I'm saying always provide a unique name for all of your images. And our ID, we generated our ID here, so I'm going to say ID, and then we need to use class name equals to our class name. And here is the code. Document.get element ID dot class name curr. So I'm going to use curr and click on OK. Save this report, run your report again, and see my first one is my first name and this image is selected. It is working fine. Okay, and the last remaining cosmetic changes is we need to hide this too. For this, you need to select this, and finally I'm going to say the visibility for this is no, and same thing, the visibility for this is no. Save this, run this, and here your final version of report. So our report is completed successfully. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, don't forget to click on like, subscribe, share it to your friend, provide your valuable feedbacks, and see you all in next Cognos Report Studio video.